So we did the Charizard League Battle Deck video where I brought it to a local tournament, and you guys really seem to like it. I'm going to be taking the newly released Charizard Pidgeot League Battle Deck to a local tournament. I'm pretty excited to try it out and see how many wins I can get. So, 1-4-0. I'd be confident going into a Couple Hour Challenge, like literally this weekend, next weekend. It was a ton of fun to do this challenge video. And I'm excited to maybe bring this to a future tournament and see how it does with its upgrades. I did update the deck at the end of that video and we saw what that looked like. And I'm going to be going to a league challenge this time, taking the updated build of the Charizard League Battle Deck. The final build that I showed y'all in the last video, I have made some changes. The format has changed. A new set has come out, Prismatic Evolutions, which did bring the Badoo into the format, the big card, maybe the only card really that's impacting the format drastically. So I did make some changes to the final build. So let's go ahead and take a look at what I will be bringing to the League Challenge here today. Not too crazy, nothing too wild that has been adjusted. I really just cut the Dusknoir line because I'm trying to be a little bit more straightforward, a little bit more consistent. I don't have a lot of the power cards that is normally in Charizard, namely stuff like Lumineon and Pheasantipity for consistency, and then even something just like a second Super Rod for like continued Pokemon and energy resources throughout the game. So I tried to keep it a little simpler, a little bit more straightforward. And specifically to help deal with Badoo, I did add a TM Evolution, which is a tool card, so I can put it in play under Badoo and help evolve my Pokemon with the evolution attack that I can give any Pokemon in my deck as long as I have an energy to work with it. So made a couple adjustments around the idea of Badoo existing, then also just trying to keep things a little bit more consistent. Still got stuff like the 4-2-3 Charizard line, got a 2-1-2 Pidgeot line. I added in the Pidgeotto because I've now included the TM Evolution. Got the Radzard from the upgrades to the deck alongside the Rotom V. Got a Cleffa in there as well. 4 Sealstone to go with that Rotom V, of course. And then 4 Rare Candy, 4 Ultra Ball, 4 Buddy Poffin, 2 Nest Ball. Only 1 Super Rod. Like I said, that's like a big missing piece, I feel like, to be honest. And that's why I'm playing such a high energy count to kind of compensate for that. I'm playing 5 or 8, not 5. I'm playing 8. I'd like to be playing 5. Playing 8 in basic fire energy because I only have the 1 Super Rod. Also made the upgrade, of course, with the Ace-Spec card. I got the Unfair Stamp in here over the Prime Catcher, especially, or now we don't really need the item gust effect of the Prime Catcher anymore because we have the 2 counter catchers in there now. We got the 2 counter catchers in there. Alongside the TMU and the 4 Sealstone, I got the Defiance Band in there for a little bit of a damage boost when we're behind. I went with putting 1 Artisan back in the deck from that final build at the end of the last video because Jamming Tower has become a much more popular card in this format. And I want to be able to use my TM Evo, my 4 Sealstone, my Defiance Band, so to counteract the Jamming Towers, I've added in an Artisan. Also, I just need a way to fill my bench so I can use my Collapsed Stadium. That's something I'm actually a little bit worried about. And I was trying to fit a 3rd Pidgey in there, not just for the consistency of getting to my Pidgeot EX, but also just having more basic Pokemon in the deck so I can fill my bench so then I can collapse Stadium away liabilities is nice. That'll be a little bit more difficult because I only have, what, like 6? I only have 9 basic Pokemon. I need to get 6 of them in play to be able to use Collapse Stadium. So I don't know how much value I'm actually going to get out of Collapse Stadium as a way to bump liabilities, but I'm hoping it works out and I can fill my bench reasonably consistently. 4 Iono, of course, 3 Arven, Professor's Research in here, 2 Boss's Orders, 1 Professor Turo, and the 1 Briar, or some of the upgrades I made to the original list. And then, like I mentioned, the 8 Fire Energy. And that's the 60 I'm going to be bringing to the League Challenge today and hoping to place in the store credit or whatever prizes, get some prizes to continue to make upgrades to the deck. All right, we're here at the shop where I'll be playing the League Challenge today. It is a $15 entry, so hopefully going to be walking away with some decent prizing if I do get into the, it's not cut, but top 4, top 8, whatever they pay out the prizing to. And then hopefully can turn that around into some upgrades for the deck. Yeah, so we got 5 rounds in the challenge confirmed. It is mixed age divisions. The juniors and seniors don't have a ton of players, so it's all in one player pool. And there's a couple strong players in the Masters division and even one in the seniors division. We got Grant Manley, multiple time regional finalists, top cut, still chasing his major dub. And then we have Caleb Rogerson, kind of more of a little bit up and coming name in the scene in the Masters division, but very strong player, has had some pretty strong finishes recently this season and last season. And then from the seniors division, Nathan Osterkatz, NAIC champion last year, will be mixed into the Masters division as well. And I know he's playing Control, which I don't want to play against. So hoping to dodge Nathan at the very least, but we might hit one of the other 2 for some pretty high level gameplay. Got the participation prize pack for playing in the challenge today. So let's crack it open. Let's see if there's anything in here that I could possibly add to my deck for a future tournament. Let's see what we got. Morty's Conviction, Super Rod. That is a big one. I've been looking for the second Super Rod. That's big. Morty's Conviction, not so much. Research, not so much. Jirachi, honestly, used to be pretty good in Charizard. Not so much anymore. But honestly, the second Super Rod is a big deal. So I'm happy for that. The next tournament I play this deck in.
Just wanted to pop in real quick and say thank you so much for watching this video. And if you're enjoying yourself, please consider subscribing. It would really help us out a bunch. And if you want to show a little extra support, you can do so by becoming a channel member down below. And a perk of being a channel member will allow you to get access to these videos a little early, getting you a chance to see them before anyone else. Now back to the video.
All right, we just got that one round 1. Did win the round. Went up against our Charizard Dialga. I don't know, I was on the ropes for a little bit. I chose second. Try and play around Badu a little bit. I just want to set up and play the game, kind of the same thing as last time for the local tournament. And I opened Radzard with like an Ultra Ball, and that was about it. So it wasn't a completely dead hand, but then I was like, all right, they had a slow start. She went like Pheasant Dippity, Attach a Metal, Pass. I was like, all right, that's chill. I know it's our Charizard for sure. And there's no turn 2 attack coming towards me. And I was like, if I top deck Poffin here, I'm going to be in a pretty good spot. And I top deck Poffin. So I was like, okay, my hand had double Candy, Ultra Ball, Charizard now. So it was like Candy Pidgeot, Candy Zard for the next turn. So I had that set up. Going into her turn, she did have an Iono, so I did lose that. Had to go into a TM Evo turns to take things a little bit slower. And she whiffed a third metal energy, so she just hit my active for 30 with our Chaladon through Relicanth. Just got punched for 30. There's only 2 metal on it. And I actually had a really interesting play where I could have loaded up 5 energy on my Radzard and attacked with Radzard for the KO because she didn't use the 220 attack that takes away the weakness. It's still weak to fire, but I prized my Super Rod. So I would have been able to set up 1 Charizard the rest of the game if my Super Rod was deep in my prize cards. So instead, I went for a Turo play to get the Radzard out of the active, just attacked with a Charizard into the active. She only had like a 2-3 card hand and only had 2 energy in play that turn. So I was pretty confident she wouldn't be able to do a Turo play. She didn't have a Turo play. She progressed through her deck that turn, setting up towards more Chaladons. So I got the first 2 prize knockout, which actually makes things kind of weird because then I don't have access to counter catcher tempo the whole game, and it can be hard for me to attack anything that's not the active. I waited until she took her first knockout with a fresh Chaladon, then I attacked into that and hit her with Unfair Stamp. Once again, whiffed the Turo, which is what I was hoping for. Gotta hope the Turos get whiffed. Also, she whiffed a Gust to KO my Pidgeot with the Outrage attack on the Duraludon, because she had the Relicanth in play since turn 2 or 1 or whatever, so that was like always prevalent. And because I was behind on the prize exchange, I never felt comfortable using my only boss in deck because I prized one of my boss to like not punch into our Chaladon. So that was always like a threat, was the Relicanth attack. But yeah, whiffed on the Unfair Stamp, so I 2-hit KO'd that Chaladon, and then it was just boss Pheasant Dippity to close out the game in the end. But yeah, the early game, mid game was a little scary, but played around her having low hand size with limited resources. No Turo was there, so was able to KO through a couple of our Chaladons without too much fear of Gust, and then close it out on the Pheasant Dippity. All right, just finished round 2. Went up against a Charizard Terrapagos. Once again, won the coin flip, chose second. Definitely a matchup I would have chosen to go first if I knew the matchup, I think. He had a pretty clean start. Got the turn 1 Fan Road, got some Hoot Hoots, got the Pidgey down the Charmander, but going into turn 2, after I played Research and set up a couple Charmanders, a couple Pidgeys, didn't get down on Duskull turn 1, which I knew he probably played. I did see it later in the game, so I wasn't scared of like me getting board wiped or anything, although that would have been possible because he had double Noctowl in hand. But he didn't have the Terrapagos, so he had to retreat his active Hoothoot into the Pidgey and then use Call for Family to get the Terrapagos. So he was like 1 turn slow from where he wanted to be, and then I was able to go turn 2, Candy Pidgeot, Candy Charizard, KO his lone Pidgey in play. Pidgeot super important in the mirror match, of course, or just with the deck in general. So I took that away from him instantly, and then he had to go kind of through a setup turn on the next turn. He got out his Candy Charizard, reestablished a Pidgey, and then that was where I had to like make a hard choice. I had Boss in hand, but I didn't have much else to work with, and he got a Duskull down that turn as well. So I could have possibly Boss KO'd his Pidgey, once again keeping him off the Pidgeot, but then I risked getting ran over by 2-hit KO on my active Charizard, plus Candy KO Charmeleon. So I went for just setting up another Charizard, just kind of chilling for a turn, punching his Charizard, and then he had a pretty powerful turn. He did a lot of things, but he left himself with only a damaged Charizard in play. He went Candy Dusknoir, KO'd my active Charizard after Counter Catcher in my Rotom, otherwise I could have pushed out my Pidgeot to absorb a hit, and then Candy Pidgeot alongside Candy Dusknoir to take a 4 prize turn, going up to 2 prize cards, but gave me a prize card off the Dusknoir, so I was at 4 prize cards. Left him in self-in-play with only 1 attacker besides his Terrapagos, which isn't very impactful if my board is just a Charmander with full HP and just a Pidgeot with full HP. So I responded with Iono, knocked out his Charizard, and then just boss KO'd his Pheasant Dippity from there on the following turn. So I had a pretty explosive follow-up after a little bit of a slow start from him, but then I think went a little bit too all in on that turn. Definitely need to set up another Charmander or play more aggressively towards like a potential Rotom play or a Thornton play to get a Charizard back in play through getting a Hoothoot in play maybe, but he definitely left himself pretty vulnerable. Had a high power turn, but after that it kind of fell apart. I was able to pretty easily lock up the game from there. So 2-0. All right, just got done with round 3. It was close. It is definitely a bad matchup. He was playing Dragapult, Charizard, a trolley build, which was pretty fortunate because I did choose second. And then when I immediately saw the Dreepy, a little bit scared of like a turn 2 Dragapult potential. So I set up fine. I got down double Pidgey, double Charmander. I didn't really need double Charmander, but he had a pretty big hand because I did mulligan once or twice. Plus he drew 3 with Rotom on the first turn. So I was like, it's possible he goes boss KO my lone Charmander. I used to need the Crystal at that point because Dragapult's first attack does 70 damage. I was like, well, I got to get down double Pidgey to play around turn 2 Candy with the Crystal. And he played Trolley. So there was no turn 2 threat. But on his second turn, he trolleyed out a bunch of Dreepies, some Charmanders, and used TM Evo to get the Dracloak set up. And then actually I played it slow myself as well because like, okay, I'm at a disadvantage. I don't know if he plays TM Devo. If we just go for a long game, I'm also probably just going to lose because the Dragapult's really hard to deal with. You pretty much never get to one-hit KO Dragapult unless it plays a little weird. So I was like, I'm going to TM Evo myself. Get a Charmeleon established, get my Pidgeotto established. So if you ever chase in my Pidgeot, then I can do that. And I also play it's easier for me to play my own Turo and use my Collapse off of having the Charmeleon in play. So I'm just going to set up to hopefully out-heal him. Turns out he plays 2 Turo and he used both of them throughout the game. So we had a lot of back and forth, just attacking and Turoing. He Turoed a Charizard once after I hit it, and he Turoed up his Rotom. I was sitting there with my Collapse Stadium in hand for like ever, hoping to like, use it when he couldn't bump his Rotom. The first time he Turoed his Charizard, he almost didn't bench a second Charmander. I was like, I can use this Collapse Stadium to get rid of my Rotom, so he can't get rid of his. And then he decided not to and just bench a second Charmander, which he probably should have done. So it took me a little while to get value out of my Collapse Stadium, but I was able to use my Turo well as a response to his Turo. We went back and forth a lot, and I think he did overextend his resources a little bit, went for a little bit too much of kind of running his attackers around instead of just committing to one and letting it get KO'd. And at the end of the game, I knocked out his last Dragapult, his only attacker set up in play, hit him with an Iono, and he wasn't able to recover from that off the Iono to get the last couple prize cards. So I would have closed it out. He conceded at that point, but I would have closed it out with a boss KO on his Pheasantipity on the bench. So yeah, really close. Round 3, got a couple more to go. Hoping to close out the last 2. All right, just finished round 4. Played against Grand Manly with the Gardevoir, and we did end up in a tie. We had a really close back and forth game. He won the coin flip, chose second. So I went first. I had to Ultra Ball for Rotom. I had a really awkward hand where I could have committed to the Pidgey and had Candy Pidgeot, Candy Charizard in hand, but then if I just get Badooed, obviously my hand is just kind of dead. So I commit to the Rotom play, just get the Rotom play, draw 3 cards with a lone Charmander, the active, and then held Arven over Iono. I had the choice between holding an Arven or an Iono. I went with holding the Arven just so I could get to potentially force Healstone or Team Evo on the next turn. I got the turn 1 Badoo off, but I had a really slow start besides that. I had to like TM Evo on turn 3, I think, after I KO'd the Badoo. I get Badooed, like I said, so then I go into the TM Evo to get the Pidgeotto in play. He Badooes for another turn with the 0 Curlies in play. At that point, I get the Pidgeotto out. I get second fire from my Charmander, so I KO the Badoo. And then he finally gets out of Curlia, builds up to a Gardevoir, but with no other Curlies in play, so I KO his lone Gardevoir at some point. He sets him back another turn. He's slowly moving over damage with the Monkey Dory to my side of the field. He Fluttermanes for a prize card at some point, and it gets down to a really awkward end game where he's able to trap up my Charmeleon, or one of my Charizards that has 1 energy because I retreated it because he Mind Bended me, and that's where I maybe made a mistake. I could have just attacked into the Mind Bend, attacked into the confusion, hope I hit heads, and then I just win on the spot basically. But I go for the play where I hard retreat my Charizard into a different Charizard, leaving me with only 1 attacker set up, and a couple things that could be liabilities in play to be trapped. So he traps one of them, sets up the Scream Tail, KOs my Pidgeot, which is my only form of draw power. I don't have the Pheasantipity in the build. I think there was maybe one of the earlier turns where I could have got down Rotom with a Force Seal Stone, so I'd have 2 Pokemon that could get me anything out of my deck. So that might have been a mistake on my part. I maybe could have got that established at some point. Once I was so far ahead, all I have to do is draw prize cards every turn. I just win the game. So I could have maybe prioritized that a little bit better, to be honest. So that was a mistake for me, perhaps. But then we end up in a tie. Don't have enough time left for him to close out the game. He probably would have closed it out on the next turn. I think he maybe just had game on the next turn. So I guess it was fortunate for me that we end up in a tie and I get the point. So I could still possibly win the next round, round 5, and get first or second. If I win the next round, I'm guaranteed first or second. All right, just finished up the last round. I did end up losing. It wasn't a complete dead draw, but it was pretty rough. I couldn't find any early Puff. I don't think I played a Buddy Puff in the whole game, actually. I did play a Nest Ball at some point, but I was never able to actually ever establish any Stage 2 Pokemon. My first couple Charmanders got spawn trapped. Then I wasn't able to get down another Charmander very aggressively. I did eventually get like a Pidgey and a Pidgeotto in play where I could have played for some kind of Iono counter catcher stall comeback potential, but he was able to pull off a Dusknoir combo to wipe those off the board. He was playing Charizard, Terrapagos, Dusknoir, which I did beat in round 2, if I remember correctly. I think they might have been playing the same 60, but this time around, yeah, I was never able to establish a Charizard or a Pidgeot. Kind of just bled out. Didn't get benched or anything, but yeah, the 6 prize cards eventually got drawn without me ever attacking. Besides the Clef, I think I did draw with Grasping Draw once or twice, but it was a rough one. It was a rough one overall, and did end up 5th place, top 8 prizing. Got myself a prize pack. I did get $15 store credit, which I can use to upgrade the deck, but theoretically kind of just covers the cost of entry for the tournament itself. All right, let's open up this prize pack. I did just pull the Super Rod out of the prize pack mid-tournament. I'm honestly kind of hoping for something like Illuminion from this one. We'll see. Earthen Vessel, Cybermaniac's Code Breaking, Koraidon, Super Booster, Iono. I already got 4 of those. It is the shiny one, I guess. Maybe it's worth something, though. That'd be something where possibly could sell this to get a card to upgrade the deck further. All right, and we end the league challenge with top 8, $15 store credit, a couple prize packs as well. Overall, the deck felt pretty good. Definitely some stuff that I wish I had been able to pick up beforehand. Of course, I think the biggest card that I missed that I would look to add moving forward is probably the Pheasantipity. Just kind of the lack of draw power throughout the game. I really felt that for sure. But a lot of the new inclusions that I added in, the Cleffa, the Rotom, Forest Sealstone were all great. The Unfair Stamp was super clutch as well. Alongside that, the kind of combos with that, of course, is I did still have item gust effects in the counter catchers despite getting rid of the prime catcher. Of course, those felt great. I think the really only card that I didn't get a ton of value out of was the Radiant Charizard. That's like the one that stands out to me, that it was like an addition to the deck that I didn't really use at all. And honestly, I could even see in the Prismatic Evolutions format, Radiant Charizard might just not be as good. Raging Bolt and decks like that aren't as popular, so it might just be a cut moving forward. Who knows, to be honest. But the deck felt pretty good. On top of the $15 store credit, we also got the 2 prize packs, and this is all the new cards that we have to work with. The big pull here was the Super Rod. I did play 8 basic fire energy, which honestly, I feel like definitely caught some people by surprise, how I just kind of had infinite energy for my Charizard without playing a Super Rod. So it was still decently comfortable with 8 energy and 1 Super Rod, but the second Super Rod will be a big upgrade to the deck for sure. And then here is everything else that we've gathered up to this point, the other cards from the deck that we've taken out, the other prize packs and cards I picked up as potential inclusions between the store credit and some of these shinier prize pack cards. We're going to see what we can do with them to make some upgrades for next time. We've taken the deck to a local tournament. We've taken it to a league challenge. The next obvious step is a league cup. So we'll see what we do with the deck next time.